You know, up until now, I've taken a fair deal of divine pride in running one of the few Dagoth Ur channels that hasn't published a tier list video since this whole trend started 3 or 4 months ago. The breakdown videos are about as close to the tier list genre the channel has ever gotten. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not hating on the other channels that make tier lists. Unless, they're run by, say, for example, Argonians. In fact, it's actually more out of respect for the other Dagoth YouTubers, false gods they may be, that I've never dipped my Dagoth into the pool of tier list publication. It's just not how this channel gained its following. It's not part of the DJ brand. It would be like, well, I don't know, an orc pretending to be a mage. Or better yet, a Khajiit pretending to be capable of thinking. Nah, mean? But there really is a metric fuck-ton of Elder Scrolls characters worth commenting on, especially when it comes to historical figures. And rather than make a separate video for each one, I think it easier to just roll them all into a single tier list, so my viewers get a more comprehensive summary of my opinions on various individuals from Tamriel's distant past. This tier list will be focusing specifically on major historical figures from the First Era. I'm not going to include every figure mentioned in First Era lore because that would take fucking forever. And frankly, there's a handful of lore tidbits that I never found very interesting. So if you're upset I didn't mention your favorite scrib or whatever from the Battle of Who Gives a Malakath, just deal with it. Anyway, let's roll through this because I got another Kaj cage match at Dagoth Endis's place to get to. First up, High King Harold, 13th in the line of Ysgramor and founder of the Kingdom of Skyrim. They say Harold was the first historically verifiable ruler of the Nords. Sadly, I don't really give a fuck what they say. F tier because he's a Nord, and frankly he's lucky there isn't a G tier beneath F tier because that's exactly where his bitch ass would go. Big time yuck, it's Saint Alicia the Slave Queen. I respected the Aelids for their magical prowess, but their farming equipment was never up to par. If you want a perfect example, look no further than this deluded cave woman. On top of rejecting the inherent superiority of elves, Alicia Dagoth a cow guy and spat a minotaur baby out of her vorin. Yep, that's canon lore. Don't be looking at me all green around the gills. It's not like I did that shit. She did. F tier for denying elves their rightful place above humans in the racial hierarchy and also for fucking a cow. Filthy proto-imperial witch. But at least it was only a cow and not an Argonian. Next, please. Pelinel Whitestrake, also known as the Divine Crusader. Imperial scholars and human supremacist incels often credit Pelinel as one of the greatest warriors ever to walk the face of Nirn. But alright assholes, he was a cyborg, with a laser beam for an arm. Not sure if it's fair to compare other mortal warriors to a fucking Terminator, but okay, mongrel dog historians. Whatever you pricks say goes, I suppose. In Elder Scrolls lore, Pelinel Whitestrake is sometimes identified as a Shezarene, which is pretty much just an earthly incarnation of Lorkhan. Lorkhan was a false god who had big beef with the elves of old because he was jealous of their racial superiority. Which explains why Pelinel Whitestrake popped a damn gasket every time someone reminded him that there were still elves who had the audacity to be alive. I have no respect for the false gods of Outlanders. I just need Lorkhan's heart. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of him can fuck off and die. Same goes for all of his schizophrenic incarnations, Pelinel especially. F tier for being a fanatical racist, but also slightly E tier because one time he accidentally massacred a bunch of Khajiit and it made me giggle. Okay, here's Umaril the Unfuckable, false demigod warlord of the Aelids. I'm almost entirely lacking in respect for Umaril in no small part because his dad was a false god. His mom, on the other hand, was an elf. But she wasn't the right kind of elf, and therefore that's strike number 2 for the unfeathered unfuckable. Let's see. What could we use as a third strike to justify tossing him into F tier? Oh, how about the fact that he worshipped Meridia? Pathetic. But I will say, he's pretty damn ugly. So my guess is none of the other Daedric chicks would let him touch their beacons so eagerly. Gotta take what you can get, folks. But still, that's 3 strikes for the unfuckable. Also, this prick tried some dirty, underhanded bullshit during his fight with Pelinel Whitestrake. If you challenge someone to a fight, have the Dagoths to throw the first punch. Don't hide and send minions to do it for you until the opponent's weakened. What a loser. E tier, but he would have been F tier if it wasn't for his sensible views on human and beast folk labor rights. Speaking of goddamn beast folk, here's the false prophet Maruk, founder of the Elysian Order. Maruk was an Imga, a race of shit-flinging ape people from Valenwood. And boy, did he fling some shit, my friends. There was Malakath everywhere. He somehow made Cyrodiil even more insufferable by turning it into a theocratic hell zone. Theocrats are only cool when they're sixth house theocrats. Otherwise, they're just simping for false gods. F tier for the wannabe Caesar from Planet of the Apes. Let's move on. Dumak Dwarf King, ruler of the Dwemer. I personally knew this guy, and I dare say he was one of the most annoying dicks I've ever met. F tier. Kagranak, chief tonal architect of the Dwemer, and the unofficial J. Robert Oppenheimer of Tamriel. A true exemplar of the inferiority complex inherent to all Dwemer. Sure, he invented and lent his name to Kagranak's tools, but when he finally used them, he accidentally caused his entire race to zero-sum. Good riddance in my book, F tier. Let's keep moving. Finally, Indoral Nerevar. Look at those fine chimeric cheekbones, that regal stare, that thick, firm, mohawk. I wish you guys could have seen him in real life. No Dagoth was flaccid in his dazzling presence, that much is for sure. Nerevar, oh my beloved, my sexy king, succeeded in uniting the fractured Chimeri tribes under a single leader for the first time since the pilgrimage of the prophet Veloth. But then he was betrayed, taken from me, and my loving arms by the wretched tribunal. Oh, Nerevar, my darling, how I wish I could have known I was a god before those events transpired. Before your bitchy wife and your two dingbat friends, Vivek and Sothasil, ripped your soul from your beautiful body and cast you aside like some fucking Argonian. My poor Nerevar, oh my poor sweet loving Nerevar. D tier for reincarnating as an outlander. Oh, come on, man, fuck. Alright, fine, let's just get this part over with. Here we go. Almalexia, F tier. Sothasil, F tier. Vivek, F tier. Oh yes. Oh yes, 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 that's what I've been waiting for. Now here's a Dagoth worth his weight in Dagoths. It's time to speak in the third person, because we've just stumbled upon the one and only true god in the entire tier list. Big D Daddy Dagoth Ur. A lustrous pillar of strength and racial superiority to which all native-born Dunmer can pridefully bow, Dagoth Ur is at once a great warlord, philosopher, supermodel, and emergent YouTube star wrapped into a single entity that the multiverse honestly doesn't even deserve. But he is a generous god, and so he gifted himself and his divine presence to the multiverse anyway. Born into an especially racially superior family of a racially superior tribe of racially superior Chimer in the geographically superior land of Morrowind, the god Dagoth Ur humbled himself by assuming a mortal name in infancy, the name of Vorin Dagoth, which would one day be engraved in the tomes of ancient history beside the term sexy fucker. Upon realizing his divine nature, Vorin Dagoth became the Lord God on high, Dagoth Ur, divine master of Morrowind and dreamer of the world. No word or words of any language, mortal or otherwise, can properly encapsulate his glory. He is without flaws, a true lord of the heavens and of the hells and of the whistles and of the bells. Poetic, is he not? There is only one place on the tier list worthy of being sat upon by his most holy glutes. S tier, and boy does it feel motherfucking fantastic. But hey, let's not forget the Ash Vampires. They are family after all. Ah, Dagoth Uranus, a fine fellow, courteous yet blunt. One need not wonder where they stand in relation to Dagoth Uranus, he will simply tell you. Also, his name kind of sounds like anus, and I like it. A tier, Dagoth Gilvoth, a fighter to the bone, but with a hidden soft side that only one with the most pure Dunmerry heart will ever see. A friend that will always have your back if you're part of the correct race. A tier, Dagoth Odros, talkative if not verbose, and yet a bearer of profound wisdom when one takes the time to ponder on his disquisitions. A tier, Dagoth Turinul, a busybody with little time to spare for idle colloquy. A conversationalist he is not, but his efficiency and dedication to his evil craft is nothing short of meritorious. A tier, Dagoth Uthol. He is more than courteous. He is kind. A respectable fellow born with a predisposition for goodwill, benignity, and racial superiority. A tier for sure. Dagoth Vemin. This little cunt always used to raid my fucking ash yam stash when we were kids. C tier, I would have chucked your toddler ass into the volcano back then if Dagoth Mom hadn't stopped me. Remember that, prickhole. Dagoth Endus, House Dagoth's Prince of Party and Playfulness. A tier and a half for this one. My favorite Dagoth is myself, but my second favorite Dagoth has always been and will always be Dagoth Endus. I love you, little brother. You can have as much Dagoth brandy as you please. Speaking of Endus, I'ma head out and chill with him now. The rest of the First Era after the War of the First Council was kinda racially inferior, and I'm not trying to waste any more of my precious eternal life pondering on the insignificant actions of more long-dead Outlanders. Fuck 'em all. F tier. Time to go watch some Kaj kill each other with their bare hands. Or paws. Whatever. Anyway, expect more videos soon, you guys. Like and subscribe and so forth. All races except non-Dunmer are more than welcome into my tribe. See you again soon. Oh yeah, also stay tuned for the new low-effort episodic series the channel will be releasing called Breaking Red Mountain. The synopsis is as follows. Again, speaking in the third person here, so don't get all confused and shit. Anyway, here it is. Facing severe personal and financial hardship in the aftermath of Test 3 Morrowind, Dagoth Ur and Dagoth Endus become involved in the skooma trade, encountering a whole host of challenges associated with being part of Morrowind's criminal underworld. The series will star me, so that's pretty fucking cool. The first episode will likely be released soon, so be sure to subscribe and strike that bell button with Kagranak's tools.